Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. Today I'm going to recap the Stanley Cup and MLB playoffs games from last night and look ahead to tonight's playoff games in each sport. We'll do MLB and soccer. We'll recap last night's episode of Survivor. We have news and notes and best bet. We'll start with the Stanley Cup playoffs just to change things up for Thursday. And then we'll look ahead to tonight. Stars over the Golden Knights 3-2 to force a game, or not to force a game 6. There would have been a game 6 anyway, but to take a 3-2 series lead back to Vegas. So big win for Dallas. And I have a chance to hedge that bet somehow if the Golden Knights are a home dog somehow. So I could bet Vegas plus 1.5 goals in a home game 6. Oilers over the Kings 4-3, so I win the Oilers in 5 bets. That's a big hit bet for the show. So I got a couple of hockey series is right, and I got the Thunder right against the Pelicans in 4 in the NBA. So what was the other hockey series I got right? Oilers in 5, I knew. Oh, Panthers in 5 was the other one I got right. So there's only one hockey game tonight, 8 o'clock on TBS. Bruins Leafs. It's going to be Kenny Albert and Eddie Olczyk. No doubt about it. Monster game. The Leafs are favored slightly, -115. The Bruins are -104. Over under 5.5. Over is -122. Under's even money. Bruins plus 1.5 is -260. Leafs -1.5 is plus 210. If Austin Matthews is playing, they should be bigger favorites, but if he's not playing, the Bruins should be favored. All right. So for the pick, I'm going to go with the under and even money. I just think that the goaltending will continue to be amazing in this series, and that's with or without Matthews. So I'm going under 5.5 at even money between the Bruins and the Leafs. Now I'm going to recap the NBA playoff results from last night and look ahead to the 2 monster game 6s for tonight. Celtics over the Heat, 118-84. They killed the Heat at home without Porzingis and advanced to the second round. First Eastern Conference team to advance to the second round. And the third team altogether, joining the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves into the second round, as they'll face the winner of Cleveland versus Orlando. Mavs over the Clippers, 123-93 to take a commanding 3-2 series lead as they bounce back from that rough loss after nearly coming back from a 30-plus point deficit to beat the Clippers. So they come back and bounce back in a big way to take a 3-2 series lead into Dallas on Friday night. All right, 2 monster games tonight, 6:30 TNT, Bucks, Pacers, Game 6. Pacers win, they move on. Bucks win for Game 7 back in Milwaukee. We don't know the status of Giannis and Dame yet, but with them, I have 2.5. Without both, I have this at 15. Without just Giannis, 10. Without just Lillard, 7.5. Total 238.5, and it's 212.5. That's a low total. I think Indiana's offense is going to bounce back. Maybe one of Giannis or Dame is back. I don't think both are back, but maybe one of them are back. But I'm going to take the over. But I've had the lean a spread way. I have to play it under the assumption that both are out, so I have to lay with Indiana. But that line is a TBD from where it's going to be a tip-off because it's either going to go really, really up or really, really down. 9 o'clock, TNT. Knicks, Sixers. Sixers win. They force a Game 7 at home. They force a Game 7 back in Madison Square Garden. They're home tonight, but if the Knicks win, this series is over, and the Knicks will be facing the winner of Bucks Pacers. So, 9 o'clock, TNT. My line is Sixers by 4, total 222 and 17/20. And it is 3 and 199. I'm taking the over. 199 is extremely low for an NBA playoff game. The Celtics game, the Celtics game from last night was extremely low, but this is extremely low. I like the over. But at gunpoint, I think the Knicks close out. I just think that the Knicks have bounced back from games like this all year long with none worse than this. Let's be honest. I mean, it's worse in the playoffs than it is ever in the regular season. And I feel that because of Philly's injuries, they might have a letdown here at home like they did last year in Game 6 when the Celtics were trailing 3-2. I know different situations. The Phillies trailing 3-2 this time, but they were up 3-2 last night, and when they melted down at home, and Jason Tatum had a shitty game, and then he bounced back and got it done. So I'm going to say Knicks close out and Indy closes out. But as much as I want to see a Game 7, I don't think either of these series will provide that. Maybe somebody else will force a Game 7, but I do not think it's going to be Milwaukee or Philly that force a Game 7. Okay, MLB. We'll go over the results from last night and look ahead to the game today. Tigers over the Cards 4-1, so best bet loses. Brewers over the Rays 7-1. Twins over the White Sox 10-5. Royals over the Blue Jays 6-1. A's over the Pirates 4-0. Braves over the Mariners 5-2. Phillies over the Angels 2-1. Padres over the Reds 6-2. Yankees over the Orioles 2-0. Marlins over the Rockies 4-1. Cubs over the Mets 1-0. Red Sox over the Giants 6-2. Nats over the Rangers 1-0. Guardians over the Astros 3-2-10. And the Dodgers over the D-backs 8-0. All right, only 6 games tomorrow, and mostly matinee and 1 game at night. So 12 o'clock, you have the Rockies at the Marlins. Pitching matchup, Peter Lambert and Edward Cabrera. Neither guy has been good this year. Marlins minus 184, Rockies plus 154, over under 8. Over is even money, unders minus 122. Rockies plus 1.5 is minus 146. Marlins minus 1.5 is plus 122. I like the over at even money. 1 o'clock, Yankees O's. Carlos Rodon and TBD. Yanks minus 134, O's plus 114. Almost said Rockies. Over under 9. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. Yanks minus 1.5 is plus 118. O's plus 1.5 is minus 42. I like the under. I think Yanks get the split here. And a much-needed split. I mean, and you know the O's need the series kind of more than the Yankees, because if the Yankees split, they're still in first place. But if the O's win, they'll be in first place. So the O's need it more, but I think the Yankees probably get it done with Rodon. But I like the under. Cubs, Mets, Ben Brown, Adrian Hauser. The Cubs are favored. The Mets are favored. Minus 122. The Cubs are plus 104. Over under 8.5. Minus 110 each way. Cubs minus 1.5 is plus 158. Mets plus 1.5 is minus 192. Yeah, the Cubs are favored on the run line. Yeah, Mets are favored on the money line, but I like the over. 1:30. Giants, Red Sox from Fenway. Kyle Harrison, Josh Winkowski. Giants minus 110, Red Sox minus 106, over under 9.5, overs minus 114, unders minus 106. Giants -1.5 is +134. Red Sox +1.5 is -162. Tough one, but I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox as a home underdog at -106. 2:30 Nats Rangers. Mitchell Parker and Nate Eovaldi. Rangers -210. Nats +176. Over under 8.5. Over is even money. Unders -122. Nats +1.5 is -120. Rangers -1.5 is even money. So for this game, I am going to go with the Texas Rangers under 4.5 runs, -104. Their offense has been meh, and Mitchell Parker's been good. And last but not least, standalone game, 8 o'clock, Guardians Astros. Logan Allen, Spencer Argetti. Astros -134, Guardians +114, over under 9.5. Over is even money, under is -122. Guardians +1.5 is -176. Astros -1.5 is +146. That's a hard one, but I'm going to go with the Astros on the road to pull off the upset at +114. Now we'll move on to soccer. We will recap the results from yesterday and look ahead to any notable soccer today. I think we have Europa League today, so I'm going to check. All right, so first of all, the results from yesterday. We'll start with the Champions League. Dortmund over PSG, 1-0. Big win for Dortmund. They needed that going into Tuesday with PSG being home. But now they just have to shut down PSG in their own building. The Saudi Kings Cup. Al Nassr over Al Khalij 3-1. CONCACAF. How about this? Columbus over Monterrey 3-1. Columbus advances 5-2 on aggregate. So it's going to be Pachuca against Columbus in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. Women's League. Orlando over North Carolina 4-1. Washington over Chicago 4-2. Portland over Bay FC 3-2. Women's Super League. Liverpool over Chelsea 4-3. And yes, I was right. We have Europa and Conference League tomorrow. 3 o'clock. You have AS Roma and Leverkusen. So that is a absolute monster of a game in the afternoon. Marseille +175. Atalanta +170. Draw +230. That's a hard one. I'm going to go with Marseille at home, +145. And in Roma, Leverkusen. Leverkusen +105, Roma +230, draw +240. I'm going to go with Leverkusen at +105. Conference League, 3 o'clock, Aston Villa, Olympiacos. Villa -250, Olympiacos 7-1, the draws +360. Under 2.5 goals, +121. Fiorentina Club Brugge. Fiorentina -3, Brugge +360, draw +260. Over 2.5 goals, -106. We have a Premier League tomorrow, 2:30. Chelsea, Tottenham. That's a big one. 2:30. Chelsea +120, Tottenham +185, draw +310. I'm going to go Chelsea at home +120, but I do not feel good about it. Liga MX also has some games tomorrow. 9 o'clock, Necaxa and Querétaro. Necaxa +110, Querétaro +220, draw +240. Necaxa +110 is the pick. And 11:15, Pachuca and UNAM. Pachuca +145, Pumas, UNAM +165, draw +240. I'm going to go with the draw +240 because I think that's a valuable draw. And the Pro League has a couple of games today as well. Al Hazem Al Akdod at 11. I think that's a draw. 2 o'clock, Al Ali and Damak. Go with Al Ali at home. And 2 o'clock, Al Fateh and Al Raida. Go with Al Fateh as well. no more notable soccer. So soccer we'll do a lot of on Friday. Now I'm going to recap last night's episode of Survivor. Really interesting show. It starts out with Liz being upset over being left out of the plan against Hunter, and Maria was talking to Q about aligning. The reward challenge. The players traversed on an obstacle course and untied a sandbag along the way, and at the end of the course, they would toss the sandbag up high onto a small perch. The person to land the sandbag on the perch won an Applebee's feast at the Survivor Sanctuary. Q won the challenge and chose to share the reward with Tiffany, Kenzie, and Maria, which makes sense with Tiff and Ken to reunite the Yanu 3, and then he chose Maria because Maria's been there for him along the way. And then Liz literally blew up and started screaming over not being chosen since she hadn't ate much and was allergic to coconut and fruit, while Tiff and Kenzie were not on board with realigning with Q. So they just pretended to be nice to Q. Immunity challenge. Players had a bar attached to an overhead bucket that contained 25% of their pregame body weight. If a player let their bucket drop, they were eliminated, and the last one standing won immunity. Jeff again offered rice if 4 people sat out, but later offered an individual portion of rice for each player who sat out. Liz took the individual rice. I mean, you knew she would because she was so upset about not getting picked for the Applebee's because her and her daughter would go to Applebee's on Wednesday nights before watching Survivor. It was a cute little mother-daughter thing they had. Charlie won his second immunity in a row. Though most of the tribe wanted Q gone, Maria talked Charlie, Ben, and Q for a blindside against Tiff before trying to convince Liz to join the plan. And at Tribal, Maria's plan worked, and Tiff was blindsided after not playing her idol. So the second week in a row where somebody left an idol in the pocket. So Ben, Charlie, Liz, Maria, and Q voted for Tiffany. So Liz was the swing vote there. So that was crazy. After all mad she was at Q, she votes for Tiff. Good job on Maria for convincing Liz without that for that. And then the 3 votes for Q were Ken's, Venus, and Tiff. So best move of the episode. Maria convincing Liz to vote out Tiff because of the idol. It's because that idol's gone. That was a big move by Maria. Worst move of the episode. I would say Q leaving Liz out only because that just caused the tribe to hate Q even more. But let's face it, the worst move was Tiff not playing her idol. From a Survivor standpoint, that's the worst move. But from an overall standpoint, it was Liz getting left out of the sanctuary because that led to her outburst, which was obviously the single worst moment, not just of this episode, but in my opinion, the worst moment of the season, because you don't want to see people have a public meltdown like that. That's just a little embarrassing, and I don't blame Liz for apologizing, but at the same time, her tribe mates were very understanding of the situation, so you got to credit the tribe for understanding, but at the same time, Liz, I think, did the right thing by apologizing. Favorite / best moment of the episode. I know this is rude, but everybody rooting against Q in the I never seen people root against somebody so hard in an immunity challenge. So that's kind of funny to see, like, Venus and Kenzie, like, and even Kenzie, while doing the challenge, openly rooting against Q, and then Venus was rooting against him on the bench. And I guess with Liz, too, in a weird way. So, very interesting stuff there. I'm still sticking with Maria for my winner pick, but I don't feel as good as I did a week ago about it because I think she has a target on her back after the blind side of Tiff. And I feel like her peers could end up turning on her a little bit. Next out. Q has been finding a way to stay in these in this game and in the tribals, so I know it's easy to say Q's gonna be next to go home, but I could see like a big blind side of somebody. I hope it's not Maria, because she's played the best game by a mile, and she is playing almost about as good as a game as, what's the girl's name that won last year? Why am I blanking on the winner's name from last year? D. So she's playing every bit as a good game as D is. So the vote out, I think, is going to be hard to figure out. I'm going to say the next out. All right. I'm going to sort of say Q's next out, because I can't pinpoint on who is going to get blindsided. And I'm going to double down on Maria and say she wins individual immunity in the next episode as well. Now we'll go over to the news and notes for today. So Luka had the flu. A 35-point triple-double while dealing with sickness and a knee injury. Good for Luka. Good for him. So DJ Burns hypes up the Canes as he inspired the Canes and win over the Islanders. That's pretty cool. So Trayvon Diggs will be back, as Deron Bland says he will be back after tearing his ACL last September. So he'll be back for camp, so that's pretty good. The NBA L2M reports that Maxey traveled on the 4-point play. Wow. So much for me killing Mitchell Robinson on that foul. Yes, was that still a bad foul? Yes. But Maxey traveled. And I don't blame Mitchell Robinson for taking the blame after the foul. He did the right thing. Even though there was a travel. And there was many people saying, oh, that was a bad call, that was a bad call. Now I see why that was a bad call. There's a travel there, and the Knicks have every right to be upset about that. Just like the Sixers had every right to be upset about Nick Nurse's timeout that wasn't called in Game 2. Suns' new owner, Matt Ishbia, will not blow up the team as he believes they're in great position for next season. The Clippers are weary of Paul George, as the two teams paying close attention to him are the Sixers and the Magic. Kevin Love says he wants to keep playing ahead of contract option decision. Interesting. Kristaps Porzingis may miss the second round as he'll continue to rehab the lower leg injury. Not ideal for Boston. I'm interested to see who they play. I'm not going to pick an upset over them because Porzingis ain't Jason Tatum, or Jaylen Brown for that matter. But if he's not back for the conference finals, that's not ideal, especially if it's against the Knicks. If it's against Philly, oh my God, I almost said forget it. But if Philly beats the Knicks, say they beat the Knicks, they force a Game 7 and win Game 7 at MSG, then Boston's in trouble. Because if Embiid found the way to get healthy, they can beat the Celtics. And Maxey, obviously, too. But like I said earlier, I think the Knicks close out tonight. But I think the winner of Knicks-Philly, if Porzingis isn't right, can beat the Celtics. Absolutely. But I don't think that the winner of Cleveland-Orlando will beat the Celtics. So there's a lot of other stuff. So boxer Ryan Garcia tested positive for PEDs. That's not great for boxing. Not at all. So there was a controversial play in the Mets-Cubs game as people were debating if the Mets game-tying run was safe or not. And Carlos Mendoza goes, that's bullshit. All right, there's punishments from the Rays-Brewers Brawl from the other day. Abner Urube, the Brewers pitcher, got 6 games. Freddie Peralta got 5. Jose Siri got 3. Chris Finch will travel with the T-Wolves despite that injury. As teams discussing methods for Finch to join coaching staff for Nuggets series, they might need him. Luka Doncic says that he would have probably been resting if it was the regular season. That's not surprising. We talked about Champions League already. All right, changes to the NIL could include stipulations requiring players to participate in bowl games. That's very interesting. Chris Fowler says it took 2 years to finish voiceover for EA College Football 2025. So we'll see who takes that. So I'll probably Reese Davis, right? For the TV game. Deion Sanders lands Shader critics as Sanders defense son after yesterday's viral tweet calling a former teammate mid. So that's a classic Gen Z word. The Houston Cougars to use Oilers-inspired unis despite legal threats from the NFL. Tyler Boyd met with 2 teams, the Chargers and will visit the Titans. I think the Chargers are an easier fit. Stephon Gilmore's return to the Cowboys not close. That's not great for them. Shader Sanders' odds to be the 2025 number 1 pick drops from even money to 3-1. That'd be ridiculous if he was the number 1 pick. I don't like him at all in terms of the number 1 pick. I like Carson Beck. But that defensive player that was number 1 in that mock draft that I saw recently from, I believe it was Tennessee. Daniel Jeremiah believes that Drew Lock has a really good shot to beat out Daniel Jones. Yikes. They must not like Daniel Jones at all. But at the same time, I don't blame them for not reaching for J.J. McCarthy. If there was a quarterback they would have rather traded up, but the Patriots were smart. The Patriots played that Lion game really good, and I have to give them credit for it. So that's not the Giants' fault that they didn't get a quarterback. New England just wasn't giving up the number 3 pick, and they did the right thing. New England would have been stupid to give up that pick. I've been saying that forever. Kirk Kriisa from West Virginia goes to Kentucky. So that's a big get for UK. And they also add Kobe Brea from Dayton. There's an emotional draft moment as Brendan Rice cannot believe that he gets to play for Jim Harbaugh. The Red Sox signed Dominic Smith as he's been with the Rays AAA team this year. The Giants signed veteran defensive back David Long Jr. That's a nice veteran to have. Penny Boone joins UCF as he was the MAC Offensive Player of the Year last season at Toledo, so that's a big get for them. The Rutgers quarterback enters the portal as Gavin Wimsatt will transfer after Scarlet Knights named Athan Kalikamadis as their starter. And then John Calipari is selling his $4 million mansion as he's selling his Kentucky home, which is not surprising. He obviously wants to go near where he is currently coaching in Arkansas. So there you have it for news and notes. And best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. There's not a lot of games on, obviously. But I'm actually going to throw a dart for my best bet. And it's a pretty significant dart. I'm going to go to Major League Soccer for best bet. I like the Cox against Querétaro at home. I'm going to lay a 20th of a unit on it. And Necaxa should get it done. So, Necaxa plus 110 against Querétaro for my best bet of the day. All right, so there you have it for the show, and I'll be back tomorrow for the Big Friday show, recapping everything and look ahead to everything. Tomorrow we have more reality TV to do. The Dance Moms reunion, hopefully we get to. Hopefully we get to Masked Singer. We'll definitely get to Idol and preview and predict who goes home at the Adele episode, and obviously news and notes, best bet, and a lot more. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.